In the frozen wastelands of Vallis Prime, one human stands against the might of the Orcaean Dominion. Captain Owen Drake, a soldier sent to investigate, now faces an enemy unlike any he's encountered before. With every challenge he overcomes, the stakes rise higher. First, the deadly beast, Frostfang, a monster bred for war, then the quantum crystals, the key to the Dominion's power. But as secrets unfold, Owen realizes the Dominion's true plan is more dangerous than he could have ever imagined. Now, with his survival at risk, Owen must decide, join them or stop them. But can one human defy the Dominion and protect the future of Earth? The true trial begins now. Will Owen tremble? Or will the Dominion finally meet their match? If you're new here, then please subscribe this channel and show thumbs up by liking the video. The wind howled across the frozen wasteland of Vallis Prime, a planet covered in endless fields of ice and snow. The sharp sting of the icy breeze would have blinded anyone unprepared, but Captain Owen Drake was not just anyone. His advanced armor, built to withstand the harshest environments, offered him little comfort, but it kept him alive as he moved steadily across the landscape. The frozen expanse seemed endless, but Owen knew he wasn't alone. Somewhere ahead of him, a powerful force was waiting. Owen had been sent to Vallis Prime on a mission by Earth's coalition to investigate suspicious activity. Reports had been trickling in for months about strange, unmarked ships coming and going from this icy world. The Dominion, a vast and ruthless empire, was known for its control over advanced technologies, and Owen had been tasked with gathering intelligence. What he hadn't expected was to encounter someone like General Lyrixa, the fierce and cunning leader of the Orcaean Dominion forces on the planet. His boots crunched against the snow as he moved forward, the towering fortress in the distance, growing larger with every step. The stone-like spires of the Dominion's fortress rose from the ice like jagged teeth, their outlines faintly glowing in the pale light of the twin moons. The air was thick with the bite of frost, and Owen could feel his breath catch in his chest with every inhale, but he pushed on. The mission came first, and fear had no place in his mind. As Owen reached the base of the fortress, a soft sound broke the stillness, a low growl. His hand instinctively went to the sidearm at his waist, though he knew it wouldn't be enough. From the shadows of the towering structure, Frostfang emerged. The massive creature stood over 9 feet tall, its body covered in fur that seemed to shimmer like ice in the light. Its eyes were a pale azure, glowing with an intelligence that made Owen's stomach tighten. This was no ordinary beast. Frostfang was a beast born of the frozen wastelands, genetically engineered for war. Its presence was enough to make even the bravest warriors hesitate. But Owen did not hesitate. He stood tall, his eyes locking with the creature's. The beast growled again, a rumble that seemed to vibrate through the air, and stepped forward, its massive claws leaving deep marks in the frozen ground. Owen did not flinch. He knew that sometimes, standing still in the face of danger was more effective than drawing a weapon. "Why aren't you trembling, human?" A voice rang out, sharp and commanding. Owen's eyes shifted to the source of the voice. General Lyrixa. She stepped out from the shadow of the fortress, her movements graceful but deadly. She was tall, even by alien standards, and her armor gleamed under the dim moonlight. Her skin was the color of lavender, glowing faintly against the black combat suit that clung to her lithe form. Golden patterns etched into her armor pulsed with an otherworldly energy as she walked toward him, the air around her seeming to vibrate with power. "I ask again, human," she called, her voice laced with both amusement and genuine curiosity. "Why are you not trembling? One word from me and Frostfang will tear you apart." Owen allowed himself a small smirk, though it was hidden behind his helmet. "Maybe I just don't scare easily, Your Highness." Lyrixa's eyes narrowed, her amber gaze sharp and calculating. She studied Owen for a long moment, seemingly weighing his every word. The air between them was thick with tension. Frostfang continued to watch Owen, its eyes never leaving him. It was clear that the creature was waiting for its master's command. "I see," Lyrixa said after a beat. She took a step closer, her tall figure looming over him. Tell me, human, what is it that brings you to my domain? You are a long way from home, and I highly doubt it is simply to admire the scenery. Owen's stance did not waver. He shifted his weight slightly, standing at ease, as if they were having a casual conversation, not standing on the precipice of a dangerous confrontation. I could say I came for the weather, he replied, his voice calm. But the truth is, I'm here because of you. Lyrixa raised an eyebrow. Me? Yes, Owen continued, his voice unwavering. Earth's coalition has been watching the Dominion for some time. We've been concerned about your growing interest in our world, but your interest in Vallis Prime is intriguing. What is it that makes this icy wasteland so valuable to you? Lyrixa studied him for a moment longer, her lips curling into a smile that was both predatory and dangerous. You are more intelligent than most humans, she said, her voice smooth. You're right to be concerned. Vallis Prime is more than just a frozen rock. It is the key to something much larger, a secret your people would be wise to stay away from. Owen's eyes narrowed slightly. What secret? Lyrixa's smile grew. You'll find out soon enough, Captain Drake, but know this. You've crossed into Orcan Dominion territory, and here you don't get to ask the questions. Before Owen could respond, Lyrixa's hand moved in a fluid motion, and a loud growl echoed from Frostfang as the beast began to stalk closer. Owen didn't back away. Instead, he stood his ground, his eyes locked with the alien warriors. He had come for answers, and no matter what came next, he wasn't going to back down. Lyrixa chuckled, the sound like the tinkling of ice crystals in the wind. I do admire your courage, she said, her voice a whisper that carried the weight of her authority. But courage will not save you here. Owen tilted his head slightly, his voice cold and steady. Maybe not, but it might just keep me alive long enough to get the answers I came for. The tension in the air was thick, and as Frostfang bared, its teeth ready to charge, Owen knew that this was just the beginning. The real challenge was yet to come. As the biting wind howled around them, carrying snowflakes that seemed to pierce through the air like daggers, Captain Owen Drake remained unfazed. Despite the relentless cold, his advanced battle armor provided him with a barrier of warmth. But even the thickest armor could not fully protect him from the strange feeling of being prey. Lyrixa, standing tall before him with an air of absolute confidence, was not the only threat. Frostfang, the massive ice beast, was a walking nightmare, its eyes glowing like blue fire, its muscles rippling with power. Yet it was the alien woman that truly unnerved him. Lyrixa was no ordinary commander. Her presence seemed to command. The very air around them, and her movements were fluid, almost hypnotic as she circled Owen, sizing him up. She wasn't just testing his physical limits. She was probing his mind, her every word an attempt to figure him out. I must admit, human, she purred, her voice almost like music. You are certainly more interesting than I anticipated. Few beings have the audacity to face me and my beast without trembling. Tell me, what is it that makes you so unafraid? Owen didn't flinch, his gaze steady. It's not about fear, Princess, he said with a hint of amusement in his tone. It's about calculation. I'm not the one at a disadvantage here. Lyrixa's amber eyes flashed with surprise, followed by a slow, dangerous smile. You are quite the paradox. Fearless, yet not reckless. Bold, yet not foolish. Most humans would beg for their lives in the face of such power. She stepped closer, the pulse of her golden armor patterns brightening, making the entire environment shimmer with an ethereal glow. But you speak to me as though we're equals. Owen's mind raced. He knew she was probing him, trying to understand his motivations. She was no simple warrior. Lyrixa was sharp, calculating, and not easily deceived. The situation was shifting rapidly. You keep saying we're not equals, but, Owen said casually, his eyes flicking toward Frostfang. You haven't proven that to me yet. Lyrixa stopped in her tracks, her sharp gaze narrowing. Frostfang growled lowly, its icy fur rippling as the beast eyed Owen with predatory intent. The creature's muscles tensed, its massive frame ready to lunge at any moment. But despite the looming danger, Owen remained still. Almost too still. "You mistake confidence for arrogance," Lyrixa said, her voice suddenly serious. "You think you can handle Frostfang, but even the mightiest of humans have fallen before him." Owen tilted his head slightly. "I don't think I can handle him, I know I can." His words were measured, but beneath the cool exterior, there was a razor-sharp focus. He had spent years facing enemies far deadlier than Frostfang. This was just another challenge, one he had no intention of losing. The silence between them thickened, and for a moment it felt like the entire world had frozen in place. Even the winds had slowed, as though they were holding their breath. Lyrixa studied him with a mixture of curiosity and respect. She was not one to give praise easily, but there was something about Owen's unshakable resolve that intrigued her. "Enough games, human," she said suddenly, breaking the silence. Her voice was commanding, but there was an edge of amusement in it. "Now, let's see if you can truly back up your words. Prove to me that you are worthy of standing here without fear. A challenge awaits you." Before Owen could react, Lyrixa raised her hand, signaling to Frostfang, who immediately crouched into a ready stance. The creature's ice-blue eyes flicked between the two of them, and its growl deepened. Lyrixa gave a subtle nod, and within a heartbeat Frostfang charged. Owen's reflexes kicked in. He had studied combat tactics for years, but nothing could fully prepare him for an opponent like this. The beast was fast, unnervingly so. Its claws tore through the ice as it moved, closing the distance between them in mere seconds. Owen sidestepped, just in time, narrowly avoiding the razor-sharp claws that would have torn through his armor like paper. Frostfang didn't stop. It skidded to a halt, spinning around with unnatural speed, and lunged again. This time, Owen wasn't quick enough. The beast's massive paw swiped at his side, leaving a deep gash across the hardened surface of his armor. It was a superficial wound, but the force behind the blow nearly sent him tumbling. "Impressive," Lyrixa called from across the battlefield, her voice filled with approval. Most would have fallen by now. Owen, breathing heavily behind. His visor grinned. "Guess I'm not most humans." He quickly regained his footing, rolling to the side and narrowly avoiding another strike from Frostfang. His mind raced, analyzing the creature's movements. He needed a way to turn the tide, to exploit a weakness. Every movement Frostfang made was predictable, powerful, but predictable. If he could just outlast the beast long enough, he could tire it out. The creature charged again, but this time Owen was ready. He sidestepped at the last moment, luring Frostfang into a false strike. As the beast's claws hit the ice with a resounding crash, Owen pounced. His fist shot forward, landing a solid blow to the creature's side, just below its ribcage. He could feel the shock of impact reverberate through his hand, but the beast staggered back with a grunt, momentarily off balance. Lyrix's smile widened, but there was no malice in it. Instead, there was a hint of admiration. She wasn't used to seeing anyone challenge her monster in this way. Most humans either ran or begged for mercy. "You have a lot of fight in you, human," she said softly, almost as if to herself. Owen didn't respond. Instead, he turned his attention back to Frostfang. The beast was recovering quickly, its azure eyes locking onto him once more. Owen knew this was his moment. He couldn't afford to waste it. With a flash of movement, Owen grabbed one of his grenades and tossed it at the ground near Frostfang. The explosion wasn't lethal, but it sent a shockwave through the air, momentarily blinding the beast with dust and snow. This was enough. Owen moved with lightning speed, using the confusion to deliver another precise strike to Frostfang's underbelly. This time the beast staggered back, its knees buckling as it struggled to remain upright. Lyrixa's expression shifted. The beast, once invincible, was faltering. There was a change in the air, something like respect, perhaps even fear. For the first time, Owen could sense a crack in her impenetrable confidence. The wind howled louder as Frostfang let out an ear-piercing growl, but instead of charging, it backed away, giving Owen a moment of respite. Lyrixa looked at him with a hint of disbelief in her eyes. You have done the impossible, human. You've actually managed to stand your ground. Owen stood tall, wiping the snow from his armor. Looks like I'm not so easily intimidated. For the first time since their encounter began, Lyrixa's smile softened, just slightly. You've earned my attention, Captain Drake, she said, her voice now colder than the surrounding winds. But remember, the game has only just begun. With that, she turned, signaling for Frostfang to retreat. Owen followed her, his mind racing with the realization that the trials ahead would only get harder. And the stakes? They were far higher than he had imagined. As the two walked deeper into the fortress, the sound of footsteps crunching in the snow seemed to echo louder than before. But this time, Owen wasn't just walking with the enemy. He was walking with someone who had just witnessed the strength of human resolve. And that, he hoped, might be his greatest weapon yet. The chill of Valis Prime had seeped deep into Captain Owen Drake's bones, but it was no longer the cold that gnawed at him. It was the feeling that something larger was at play. A game of power and survival that stretched far beyond his understanding. Lyrixa, the enigmatic and dangerous general of the Orcaean Dominion, had made her move. She had tested him physically, pushed him to the limit, and yet Owen remained standing unbroken. Now, as he followed her into the depths of the Dominion fortress, he realized that this battle was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. Lyrixa had made no effort to hide her amusement or approval at his persistence, but her eyes never wavered from him. They were calculating, weighing the human before her like a chess piece, ready to either discard him or use him, depending on how the rest of this challenge unfolded. The walls of the fortress around them were made of thick, reflective crystal that shimmered eerily in the dim light. Every step Owen took echoed, his boots clicking against the cold stone floor. The deeper they went into the facility, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The air felt thick, almost like it was saturated with energy, as if the very walls were alive. They entered a grand hall, a vast room illuminated by hanging crystal chandeliers that flickered like distant stars. The ceiling was high, stretching far above them, covered in a pattern of symbols that glowed faintly with an otherworldly light. The hall was eerily silent, save for the soft hum of energy running through the facility. Owen couldn't help but notice that Lyrixa seemed at ease in this place, as though she belonged here. Her steps were confident, her posture regal, and her every movement seemed to command respect. In contrast, Owen felt small in this alien environment, despite his towering stature. This was not Earth, this was not his world, yet he was determined to make it his battlefield. You're wondering what comes next, aren't you? Lyrixa's voice broke through his thoughts, cool and composed. She glanced over her shoulder, her golden patterns on her armor pulsating slightly, casting faint shadows on her lavender skin. Owen nodded, his gaze never leaving her. I've had my fair share of battles, but I get the feeling this one is different. Lyrixa stopped walking and turned to face him, her eyes narrowing with a mixture of curiosity and amusement. It is. You see, human strength alone won't win you this game. It's more than just physical endurance or tactics. She waved her hand, and a section of the wall ahead of them slid open, revealing a room filled with towering machines and intricate control panels. The room hummed with energy, and in the center stood a massive crystalline structure pulsating with light. This is the core of the Dominion's power, Lyrixa explained. It harnesses the quantum energy of Valis Prime, controlling everything, from our military to our most secret projects. It is the heart of the Dominion's might, but it is not a gift given freely. Owen stepped forward, drawn to the pulsing crystal. He could feel the energy radiating from it, a deep, almost magnetic pull that beckoned him closer. The room felt alive, and every fiber of his being screamed that this was the key to everything, the answers he sought, the mystery of why the Dominion had come to Earth, and what their true intentions were. Lyrixa's voice broke the silence again. The Dominion tests those it deems worthy of its trust. You have passed the first trial, facing Frostfang and surviving. But that was only the beginning. Now you must face the true trial of intellect and resolve. Owen frowned, his mind racing. What do you mean by intellect? I'm no scholar, I'm a soldier. Lyrixa smiled, the curve of her lips both dangerous and alluring. You may be a soldier, Captain Drake, but you are also a human. And that means you possess something our kind cannot understand. Chaos. The Dominion thrives on control, on order. But you humans? You embrace uncertainty, you fight against it, adapt to it. You are the ultimate unknown. She walked toward the crystal, her fingers gently brushing the surface. This crystal, this power can be manipulated by those who know how to control the energies it harbors. But it requires more than just brute force. It requires knowledge, creativity, and the willingness to embrace chaos itself. Owen's brow furrowed as he watched Lyrixa. He knew she was baiting him, testing him in ways that went beyond mere physical prowess. This was a test of his mind, his very essence. He stepped forward, carefully studying the complex machinery around the crystal. You want me to control this thing? He asked, his voice steady despite the unease gnawing at him. What makes you think I can? Lyrix's eyes gleamed with approval. Because, unlike others who would simply try to destroy it, you understand the value of understanding it. You see the power, but more importantly, you see its potential. That is why you're still standing here, Captain. The air in the room seemed to thicken with tension as Owen approached the crystal. He could feel the energy swirling around him, a chaotic, unpredictable force that seemed to shift with every movement he made. This was no simple machine. It was an ancient force of nature, a living thing that responded to his every thought, every decision. The next challenge would not be about defeating a monster or surviving a physical trial. It was about bending this energy to his will. Owen closed his eyes for a moment, centering himself. He had faced overwhelming odds before, but this was a challenge unlike anything he had ever experienced. The crystal pulsed once more, a deep, resonating hum that seemed to vibrate through his very core. His fingers twitched with the need to understand, to control the flow of energy before him. Lyrixa watched, her arms crossed, an expression of curiosity on her face. You've got one chance, human. Harness it, and you may just prove that you are worthy of the Dominion's respect. With a deep breath, Owen reached forward and placed his hand on the surface of the crystal. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the light around him shifted, the energy beginning to swirl as if responding to his touch. The temperature in the room began to fluctuate, warm air mixing with the cold, creating an almost unbearable pressure. Owen felt it all, his mind racing to keep up with the pulse of the crystal, his thoughts merging with the chaos of the energy field. But he held on, his focus unwavering. He had one chance. He would not fail. As the crystal began to respond, shifting in response to his thoughts, the hum of power intensified. The walls around him seemed to bend and warp, and for a moment, Owen was no longer standing in a fortress, but in the heart of a storm. The storm of energy that came with harnessing the Dominion's power, and just as it seemed the chaos would consume him, he felt it. A sudden stillness, a brief moment of clarity. The energy was no longer chaos. It was controlled, contained, and harnessed under his will. He opened his eyes. Lyrixa was silent, her expression unreadable as she observed the shift in the air. The crystal glowed brighter than ever before, its energy now fully attuned to Owen's touch. Well done, human, Lyrixa said, her voice softer than before. You've done what no other has managed to do. You've harnessed the energy of Valis Prime itself. Owen exhaled, his body trembling from the exertion. It's not over yet, he said, his voice steady. Lyrixa smiled. Indeed, the game has only just begun, but now, human, I think you may just have proven yourself worthy. With a final look at the now still crystal, Owen knew that he had won the first true battle. The next challenge would be even greater. But for the first time since arriving on Valis Prime, he allowed himself to believe in the impossible. The hum of energy was still in the air, vibrating beneath Owen's skin. As he stood in the heart of the Dominion's fortress, his mind swirled with the implications of what he had just done. He had faced Frostfang, the terrifying creature that had come to symbolize the Orcaean Dominion's might. He had tamed the quantum crystal, a force of nature that even the Dominion had struggled to fully control. But the real challenge lay ahead. Owen knew this was no ordinary mission. The stakes were much higher than simply gathering intelligence. Now, it was about survival, about understanding the truth of what the Dominion wanted with Earth. Lyrixa stood opposite him, her amber eyes studying him with an intensity that seemed to pierce through to his very soul. The tension between them had shifted from that of an enemy and a stranger to something far more complex. She no longer saw him as a simple human intruder. Owen had become something more in her eyes, something dangerous, something that had the potential to change everything. "Well done, Captain Drake," Lyrixa said, her voice betraying no sign of emotion. "You have passed my tests, both physical and intellectual. Few humans are capable of this. It seems your reputation is well deserved." Owen met her gaze but didn't respond. Instead, he focused on the feeling that still lingered in the air, the energy from the crystal. It was powerful, almost intoxicating. If he were to be honest, he felt a pull to it, a desire to understand it further. "I'm not here for accolades, General," Owen finally said, his voice steady. "I'm here to stop the Dominion's plans. I've seen enough to know you're not just here for exploration." Lyrix's expression hardened, and for a moment, Owen thought he saw a flicker of something. Regret, perhaps, or hesitation. But it was gone as quickly as it had appeared. "You're right," she said. "We are not here to simply explore. The Dominion has plans for Earth, plans that will reshape the future of this galaxy." She paused, her gaze lingering on him. "And you, Captain, are the key to whether those plans will succeed." Owen stiffened at her words. "What do you mean?" Lyrix's smile was cold, but there was an edge to it, a glimmer of something, almost triumphant. "The quantum crystals we've discovered on Vallis Prime are only the beginning. They have the power to manipulate reality itself. The Dominion has spent decades perfecting their use. But there is a more important truth to be uncovered. Humans have a unique ability to harness this power. Your species can adapt, think in ways that even we cannot comprehend." Owen clenched his fists, his mind racing. He had suspected as much, but hearing it out loud made it all the more real. Earth was at risk, not just from invasion, but from being manipulated by a force they couldn't even begin to understand. The Dominion wanted to control humanity, not with weapons, but with technology far beyond anything Earth had ever seen. "The Dominion wants to control Earth, use us as a tool to unlock more power," Owen said, more to himself than to her. He knew this had been coming, but hearing it solidified his resolve. The mission had changed. It wasn't just about gathering intel anymore. It was about stopping an intergalactic empire from subjugating his people. Lyrix's eyes softened slightly, her stance less rigid than before. "It's not about control in the way you think. We don't want to subjugate humanity, Captain. We want to elevate you." She turned, her silver-white hair cascading over her shoulder like a living stream of mercury. "We want to take your species, your potential, and unlock it. We believe that through the quantum crystals humanity can achieve the next stage of evolution." Owen felt a chill run down his spine, but he didn't show it. "You want to evolve us into something else, something you can control." Lyrix's lips quirked slightly, but the amusement in her expression was gone. "Not control, guide. The Dominion has the means to help you transcend your limitations. Imagine a world where humans are no longer bound by the frailties of biology, where diseases, aging, even death itself could be conquered." Owen swallowed hard. The implications were vast. If the Dominion succeeded in unlocking that kind of power, Earth wouldn't just fall under their control. It would be transformed into something unrecognizable. It was a fate worse than slavery. "Why me?" Owen asked, his voice steady, despite the weight of the question. "Why bring a human into this at all?" Lyrixa turned back to face him, her amber eyes locking onto his. "Because you're different. You see the potential, the danger, and you're willing to fight for it. You could have walked away after your first trial, but you didn't. You came this far because you understand what's at stake. Owen shook his head. You're wrong. I came this far because I know I'm the only one who can stop you. There was a long silence between them, and for the first time Lyrixa seemed to consider his words as if weighing her next move. She didn't speak for a moment, and Owen could feel the tension growing thicker between them. He knew he had pushed her to the edge, and he could see the flicker of calculation in her eyes. I think you may be right, she said finally, her voice softer than before, almost thoughtful. The question is, what will you do with that knowledge, Captain? Before he could respond, a low growl echoed from the shadows. Frostfang, the massive beast, reappeared, its eyes glowing with hunger. The creature stalked toward them, its steps slow and deliberate. But this time it wasn't a threat, it was a signal. Lyrix's gaze never left Owen's. There's more to this than just your people, Captain. You've seen the crystal. You've felt its power. Now you must decide whether you're going to be the one to control it, or whether the Dominion will. Owen knew the gravity of the decision before him. He had come here as an intruder, a spy. But now, he was faced with a choice. Join the Dominion, unlock their power, and risk losing everything that made humanity what it was, or stand against them, knowing that the battle ahead would not just be for Earth's survival, but for the soul of his species. With a deep breath, Owen made his choice. He wasn't just going to fight for Earth, he was going to fight for humanity's future, for the right to choose their own path. Then let's see if the Dominion can handle what humanity has to offer, he said, his voice a quiet challenge. Lyrixa's eyes widened, and for the first time, there was no amusement in her gaze, only respect. So be it, Captain, prepare yourself. The true trial begins now.